This is your government video on reapportionment and redistricting. Reapportionment is the term that's used when we have to distribute or redistribute the 435 seats in the House of Representatives. Remember, originally the Constitution said that every state got one representative for every 30,000 people in population. Well, eventually they decided to stop that, change the Constitution, and now we have a max of 435 seats in the House. That means that every 10 years we have a census, and this is required by the Constitution. And based on the results of that census, we just redistribute or reapportion the 435 seats to the states based upon the relative populations. And that could be gains or losses. So that typically means there has to be big gains or losses. Remember, every state has to have a minimum of one representative, even if they only have a few people that live there. So the House of Representatives, just like the Electoral College, heavily favors small states. If a state then has a change in the number of House seats, either their number has gone up or down, it is up to the state government, the state legislature, to redistrict or redraw the lines for the districts within that state. And that's called redistricting. So if you take an example of Arizona, Arizona currently has 11 districts. Then that means you have to redraw the district line so that there are 11 districts within the state of Arizona. Where you live would determine which representative in the Arizona districts would represent you in the federal government. Now, state legislatures typically do this, or what we'll say is the party that's in power in the state legislature in most states gets to redraw these lines. And the redrawing of lines is extremely political in some instances. Arizona is one of the states that uses a bipartisan committee. It is a committee of 5 citizens who apply, two Republicans, 2 Democrats, and then it's chaired by an independent. They create these maps and then they give them to the state legislature for approval. There's 2 really political ways to draw district lines. The first way is called packing. Packing is when you concentrate a group of an opposing party, or it doesn't even have to be a party. It could be an income group, it could be a racial group, into a certain area so that they only are in one district, thus giving them a larger chance that they could elect somebody similar to their population, but removing them from all of the other surrounding districts. Because people tend to live in neighborhoods with people that are similar to themselves, whether that's, again, income groups, or that happens to be racial groups, or even religious groups in some situations, packing is really easy. You can just draw a district line around, let's say, a heavy Latino neighborhood. Another thing that can happen is called cracking. Cracking is when you disperse opposing parties or opposing groups into each district. So if you wanted to limit voter turnout by Democrats, you could take the neighborhoods which tend to vote Democrat, chop them up, and put a little bit into a majority district, which is mostly Republican neighborhoods. That would mean that the majority of neighborhoods or homes that are voting would be more likely to vote Republican, and there would be just a small amount of Democrats in every group. So both of these can be used politically to favor certain groups and to restrict voter turnout by party, by voters who continually like certain candidates, and then of course things like racial and income groups.